Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to 90 Day Fiancé latest news updates.
Danielle Gates, a familiar face to fans of TLC's 90 Day Fiancé, has once again found herself at the center of controversy. But this time, the drama appears to extend far beyond reality television storylines. Recent reports and online discussions have reignited serious questions about her financial past in the United States, with claims suggesting that she left the country while burdened with an alleged debt totaling approximately $224,000, while Danielle has built a public image around spiritual awakening, self-discovery, and a fresh start in the Dominican Republic. Critics argue that the truth behind her relocation may be far more complicated and troubling than what viewers were shown on screen. For many fans, Danielle's journey on 90 Day Fiancé was already controversial. Her relationship with Johan, marked by frequent arguments, cultural clashes, and financial disagreements, drew intense reactions from audiences. Some viewers sympathized with her desire to escape what she described as a stressful and unfulfilling life in New York City, while others questioned her motives and honesty, particularly when it came to money. As the show progressed, it became clear that finances were a constant point of tension, with Danielle often portraying herself as financially savvy while simultaneously expressing anxiety over expenses and income. However, the narrative took a more serious turn when reports surfaced alleging that Danielle had accumulated significant unpaid debts in the United States before relocating abroad. According to these claims, the total amount owed reached as high as $224,000, including unpaid rent, credit card balances, toll violations, and other financial obligations. While the exact breakdown of this figure varies depending on the source, the sheer scale of the alleged debt has shocked fans and critics alike, raising questions about whether Danielle's move to the Dominican Republic was truly about love and spiritual growth, or whether it was also a way to escape mounting financial pressure. Public records and online sleuthing communities have played a major role in bringing these allegations into the spotlight. Over the years, reality TV fans have become increasingly adept at investigating cast members' pasts, often uncovering court filings, liens, and lawsuits that paint a fuller picture of their lives off-camera. In Danielle's case, internet users claim to have found evidence of eviction filings, unpaid judgments, and other financial red flags that predate her appearance on 90 Day Fiancé. Although not all of these claims have been independently verified, the consistency of the reports has fueled widespread speculation. What makes this situation even more controversial is the contrast between Danielle's alleged financial struggles and the lifestyle she presents on social media. Since moving to the Dominican Republic, she has frequently shared photos and videos depicting a seemingly carefree life filled with beach views, yoga sessions, spiritual retreats, and entrepreneurial ventures. To critics, this image feels disconnected from the reality of someone who may have left behind hundreds of thousands of dollars in unpaid debt. They argue that such a public display of luxury and leisure, if funded while creditors remain unpaid, raises serious ethical concerns. Supporters of Danielle, on the other hand, caution against rushing to judgment. They point out that allegations circulating online do not always reflect the full legal reality of a situation. Debt figures can be exaggerated, misunderstood, or misrepresented, especially when pieced together from multiple sources without official confirmation. Some fans argue that Danielle has never been convicted of financial crimes, and that moving abroad, while controversial, is not illegal in itself. They also note that reality television editing often amplifies conflict and paints cast members in a negative light to boost ratings. Still, the question remains, why would someone choose to uproot their life and relocate to another country while facing such significant financial obligations? Experts note that for individuals overwhelmed by debt, the psychological toll can be immense. Relocating abroad may feel like a fresh start, a chance to rebuild without the constant stress of bills, collection calls, and legal threats. However, they also emphasize that debts do not simply disappear when someone leaves the country, and unpaid obligations can follow individuals for years, affecting credit, legal standing, and future opportunities. Danielle herself has addressed financial rumors in vague and sometimes defensive ways. In past interviews and social media posts, she has acknowledged making financial mistakes, but has framed them as part of a broader journey toward self-awareness and growth. She often speaks about breaking free from toxic systems, rejecting materialism, and redefining success on her own terms. To some, this language feels empowering and authentic. To others, it sounds like an attempt to spiritualize or justify irresponsible behavior. The Dominican Republic plays a crucial role in this narrative. For Danielle, the country represents freedom, simplicity, and a lower cost of living compared to New York City. She has repeatedly emphasized that life there allows her to focus on wellness, relationships, and personal fulfillment, rather than the grind of American urban life. Critics, however, argue that the lower cost of living also makes it easier to live comfortably without fully addressing past financial responsibilities. This perception has fueled accusations that she ran off, rather than responsibly dealing with her debts. Johan's role in this story also cannot be ignored. Throughout their relationship, financial expectations and responsibilities were a constant source of conflict. Danielle often insisted on maintaining control over finances, while Johan expressed frustration over limited access to money and uncertainty about their future. Some viewers now speculate that Danielle's alleged financial instability may have influenced her behavior within the marriage more than she admitted on screen. If true, this would add another layer of complexity to their already strained relationship. The broader issue highlighted by this controversy is the growing tension between reality TV personas and real-life accountability. Cast members are often incentivized to craft compelling narratives that attract attention, sympathy, or admiration. Yet, when off-screen actions contradict on-screen stories, viewers feel deceived. In Danielle's case, the alleged debt undermines her portrayal as someone who had everything figured out financially and was simply choosing a different path. Instead, critics argue it suggests a pattern of avoidance rather than empowerment. Legal experts note that, while leaving the U.S. with debt is not illegal, it can have long-term consequences. Creditors may pursue judgments, wages can be garnished if the individual returns, and unresolved debts can complicate future visa applications, loans, or business ventures. In some cases, ignoring financial obligations can also damage personal relationships and professional credibility. For a public figure like Danielle, these consequences are amplified by constant public scrutiny. As of now, Daniele Gates has not released a detailed, documented response addressing the full scope of the $224,000 debt allegation. Her silence on specific figures has only intensified speculation, with critics interpreting it as avoidance and supporters viewing it as a refusal to engage with online harassment. In the absence of clear, verifiable information, the story continues to evolve through social media commentary, fan forums, and gossip outlets. Ultimately, this controversy raises uncomfortable questions about responsibility, reinvention, and the price of starting over. Can someone truly move on from their past without fully addressing it? Is personal transformation valid if it comes at the expense of unresolved obligations? And how much do reality TV audiences have the right to know about the real lives of the people they watch on screen? For now, Daniele Gates remains in the Dominican Republic, living a life that appears peaceful and intentional on the surface, while the debate over her alleged $224,000 debt continues to simmer online. Whether this story will lead to legal consequences, public accountability, or simply fade into the ever-moving cycle of reality TV scandals remains to be seen. What is certain, however, is that Danielle's journey serves as a cautionary tale about the fine line between reinvention and escape, and about how the past has a way of resurfacing no matter how far one tries to run from it. As discussions around Daniele Gates continue to circulate online, the situation has also sparked a broader conversation about how reality television fame can sometimes mask deeper personal struggles. For many cast members, appearing on a popular show like 90 Day Fiancé opens doors to social media income, brand deals, and public recognition, but it also exposes their private lives to relentless scrutiny. In Danielle's case, the fame that once elevated her platform has now intensified the backlash. As every past decision is being re-examined through a more critical lens, some financial analysts who have commented generally on similar cases point out that large debt totals like the alleged $224,000 rarely accumulate overnight. Instead, they are often the result of years of compounding issues: missed payments, high-interest credit cards, legal penalties, and lifestyle costs that outpace income. If the allegations are accurate, Danielle's situation may reflect a pattern of financial overextension long before cameras ever followed her personal life. This possibility challenges the idea that her struggles began only after marriage or relocation and instead suggests deeper systemic issues. Online reaction has been sharply divided. On one side are critics who argue that relocating abroad while leaving debts unresolved is irresponsible and unfair, particularly to landlords, lenders, and institutions that rely on repayment. They argue that personal growth should not come at the cost of accountability and that true transformation requires facing consequences head-on. On the other side are supporters who emphasize compassion, pointing out that financial hardship is common and that public shaming rarely leads to constructive outcomes. They argue that the internet's tendency to sensationalize debt figures strips away nuance and humanity. The role of social media has been especially significant in shaping public perception. Danielle's online presence, filled with motivational messages, spiritual affirmations, and lifestyle content, has become a focal point for criticism. Detractors argue that presenting an image of abundance and enlightenment, while allegedly avoiding financial obligations, sends the wrong message, particularly to followers who may look up to her. Supporters countered that social media is inherently curated and that no one is obligated to broadcast their struggles or legal matters publicly. There is also the question of responsibility on the part of reality television networks. Shows like Fiancé often emphasize drama without fully contextualizing the real-world consequences faced by participants. While networks are not responsible for cast members' past debts, critics argue that portraying individuals as experts or authorities financially or otherwise can mislead viewers. Danielle was often framed as someone knowledgeable and confident, which now feels jarring to those who believe the debt allegations contradict that image. Another layer to this story involves the idea of starting over in a foreign country. For many people, moving abroad is a legitimate way to seek opportunity, healing, or a different pace of life. However, when such moves coincide with unresolved legal or financial issues, they inevitably attract suspicion. The Dominican Republic, like many countries with lower living costs, is sometimes unfairly framed as a place people flee to avoid consequences, even though millions of expatriates live there responsibly and transparently. Danielle's case risks reinforcing these stereotypes, regardless of the full truth. As time passes, the lack of concrete clarification continues to fuel speculation. Legal documents, if any exist, remain largely discussed secondhand, and without a clear public statement or court resolution, the story exists in a gray area between allegation and fact. This ambiguity keeps the controversy alive as each new post-interview or appearance by Danielle is dissected for clues or contradictions. For Daniele Gates herself, the path forward is uncertain. She may choose to directly address the allegations with evidence and explanation, potentially reshaping public opinion. She may also continue focusing on her current life, allowing the controversy to eventually fade as new reality TV scandals take its place. History suggests that public attention is fleeting, but unresolved issues have a way of resurfacing, particularly when a public figure remains in the spotlight. Ultimately, this situation highlights a central tension of modern celebrity culture: the desire to reinvent oneself versus the expectation of transparency and accountability. Audiences are increasingly skeptical of polished narratives that do not align with available information, yet they also participate in cycles of outrage that can oversimplify complex human experiences. Danielle's story sits squarely at this intersection, serving as both a personal controversy and a reflection of broader societal dynamics. Whether the alleged $224,000 debt will ever be fully explained, resolved, or legally addressed remains unknown. What is clear is that the conversation surrounding it has already left a mark on Daniele Gates' public image. Once seen primarily as a reality TV personality navigating love and cultural differences, she is now also viewed through the lens of financial controversy and ethical debate. As viewers and followers continue to watch from afar, one question lingers above all others: is this story ultimately about escaping responsibility, or about a flawed individual trying imperfectly to rebuild her life? The answer may never be entirely clear, but the discussion itself reveals how deeply audiences care about authenticity, fairness, and truth in the stories they consume. And in the ever-evolving world of reality television, that scrutiny is unlikely to disappear anytime soon.